Let's see if I can actually get this going. Oh, it is recording. Cool. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Okay, I have Melissa with me, who is the dog mom of Tuggy and Miss Pickles, also known as Tuggy_Tugboat on Instagram. And the two of them are an incredibly adorable pair. And although I love the Tugster, Miss Pickles has such a special place in my heart because she is also a deaf dog through having to get the total ear canal ablation surgery, and that has taken her hearing away. But still, just like my dog, Mr. Breakfast. But I can't even explain how freaking adorable these two are. So do yourself a favor, if you haven't already, go on Instagram and follow Tuggy and Miss Pickles at Tuggy_Tugboat on Instagram. And so not only is she a dog mom to this adorable pair, but that has gained, I think you just hit 50,000 followers recently on Instagram. She is an active foster with a local rescue there in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So for anyone that is considering becoming a foster home for a local rescue or shelter, Melissa is going to tell us the 3 things you should know before fostering. So first, I always love hearing kind of what it's like for different people who have a large influencer account through like dogs. It's always pretty different. Yeah, there's some things that are very similar, like, oh, it's this different for you, but usually the same things are always like, yeah, I go through that too. So I kind of want to like go through that because a lot of people don't really know what happens, on the other end of the Instagram account. So did you ever think that it would get this big, like when you made a Tuggy account? Do you think it would get to 50,000 followers?
I sure didn't. I remember going out to LA to attend Rebecca Corey's Stand Up for Pitch show about 3 years ago. And we were like, he was on the red carpet and meeting like, all these famous people and other advocates, and it was really fun. And there was this musician guy there, and he's like, oh, so, what's his Instagram? And I'm like, we don't have one. I was like, I probably should start him one, huh? And he's like, yeah, this guy's ridiculous. Like, he needs to have an Instagram. So I started it at that point, and I just thought it would be something fun for me. I like joking around. Humor is like what keeps me sane, and he's so silly and ridiculous. And so I just thought it would be something fun to kind of alleviate stress and make people laugh. And I thought if we had, a few hundred friends or whatever that wanted to follow along, great. And I guess he has just resonated with people, and his popularity, really shot up. And of course, we did get lucky because we had 2 dodo videos, which I know you did as well. And I think, obviously that helps really bring new people to our audience, and it just keeps growing and growing, and it's so much fun. And yeah, it gets more fun as it gets bigger, but certainly there are some challenges too.
And talking about the humor portion, definitely one of the most creative captions of any Instagram account that I follow. People that already follow Tuggy, I'm sure they understand the briny walruses and the things that you come up with that relate to normal, like everyday things, and you turn it into their flaps of like just it's incredible. Like it's so funny, and I look forward to reading them every single time. And how did you, like, where does that come from? How do you come up with these captions? Like, does it take you forever to write them, or?
That's such a good question. Sometimes things just come automatically. Like we love Flaps of Destiny and love their humor, and that was really congruent with my humor as well. And my husband's a biologist, and so we love like just the sea creatures and like tying it to biological things that we find funny. And we always would say like his face smells like the Newport Harbor. My husband grew up in Oregon, and we'd go to the coast, and there's just like that smell at the coast. We're like, oh man, Tuggy's face smells like the Newport Harbor. And so we just joke all the time. We also love like pop culture and movies and TV shows, and anything we can tie to something funny that's going on, we always try to do that. It's hard to, because sometimes I don't feel that funny, and I just need to roll with it and just, put stuff out there that is happening even when I don't feel particularly creative. But one of the things that I really love is that the following that we have, they just riff on whatever we do. And so our followers really are hilarious and they add so much to the
Oh,
conversation.
hang
So
on,
if you
Melissa,
want
you're
to
starting to
sign up with,
break up a little bit. Hang
oh
on, you sorry,
no,
you kind of, yeah, the sound went a little bit. So whenever you said, sorry, the followers, they riff on things, and then it kind of started going into like the machine sound.
oh no, yeah, we got to get out of the tunnel. Yeah, no, our followers really riff on whatever we share and post. They kind of know our humor, and so they just kind of piggyback on each other. And so even sometimes when I'm not feeling funny, they bring funny things to the comment section. And so, and I read everything, and I laugh so hard. I just appreciate so much what people bring to the engagement on the page, and I think it just makes it extra special and fun.
Yeah, definitely during times like, what we've been going through the world with the pandemic and quarantine and everything. And I notice it's definitely helped me force myself to be in a good mood. If I don't feel like being creative, I kind of have to put myself in that happy, fun mood and respond to people and things like that. And as much fun as it is, and I think it's more fun than anything, there are sometimes like a little bit of negative things that come with it, but let's focus on like the most surprising thing that has come with having an Insta famous or Instagram influencer, dog influencer account, the good thing that surprised you the most.
I think the coolest thing that's come from it is, people that reach out about asking about fostering or pet adoption, or maybe they didn't know much about pit bull type dogs before. And so to me, that we can use our voice and our platform in that way and really engage people that maybe are new to those ideas or concepts, I think is the coolest thing ever. And I think, that's really what excites me about having a large audience. It's like, yeah, I want people to come and have fun and laugh, but at the end of the day, if they walk away and they want to foster or adopt, or we've changed a perception about blocky headed dogs or deaf dogs or special dogs or whatever, that to me is worth everything we put into the page, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Just making a difference and trying to do some good in this world and bring some education into people's lives, not through the usual kind of lecture,
Yeah.
kind. And so what about the bad thing that you
The bad
never
thing.
ever thought could happen?
Well, I know we laugh about this sometimes. I mean, we get comments sometimes that are challenging, I guess, to put it nicely. When like particularly an example, the dodo video with Tuggy. Tuggy has a lot of face fat, and he's just, we call it his blubber fall. He's very juicy around the face, and of course, like, I like to play with it. I like to squeeze it and kiss it and massage it, and
He doesn't seem to mind.
he loves it. He loves it, but oh my gosh, when you put yourself out there like that, you would be surprised at how many people think that, like, I'm hurting him, or or whatever. And he's my dog, and I know what our relationship is like and what I can do with him, to him. He trusts me, I trust him, and we just, we have that bond. So when people make comments like that they think I'm abusing him or something because I'm like squeezing him, that can be annoying. But luckily that's not very many. Or there's just people that think that they know more about your dog than you do, or how to take care of your dog than you do. And I'm not perfect, I don't know everything, but I am his, I am his guardian, and I do know what's best for him at the end of the day. So sometimes you get that
Absolutely.
unsolicited advice.
So would that be, my next question was actually going to be, would that be the one thing that you the one piece of advice that you would tell people before messaging or commenting on a dog influencer account? The one piece of advice or one, thought that you should have people sort of take into consideration?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I never want to tell people, like, don't message me this kind of stuff. Whatever. People can message me, but I might sass back. As I do sometimes. I think it's just know that, like, we're real people, we're real pet owners. We love our animals so much. And it does kind of hurt your feelings when people kind of jab at you like that. So yeah, I think if you're there and you're enjoying the content, like just roll with it. you know?
Don't worry, he's okay.
Do they look like they're struggling?
It's a hard life. It's a hard life. That bed looks more comfortable than mine.
I know.
Oh, there she is. She goes, "It is. That's so hard." Oh my goodness. So do you guys, because Salt Lake City, I've never been, honestly, and I don't know how much of your following is from there. We have a pretty large following. Large portion of our following is in San Diego, where we are. Do you guys get recognized in public?
We do, and it's so funny to me because like so even just this past summer I was walking both of them down my street and this man just stopped, and I have a very quiet street. He stopped me and he's like, I know these dogs. Wait a minute, that is Tuggy and Pickles. They were like on the dodo and they're on Instagram, right? Like, I looked at this picture and I thought it was our street, but I thought there's no way they could live on my street. And so it was so funny. Like one of our neighbors who we did not know knew who we were and followed us. And it was like such a funny, spontaneous moment. So we do occasionally have that happen out in public. And I love it because I don't always know where people come from. I mean, I probably should look more closely at it, but
That's a lot of people to look
at.
Yeah,
yeah. But
don't be too hard on yourself.
But it's so fun. And I always want people to feel like they can approach us and meet the dogs. And, they love meeting people. So if we're out and about and people do recognize us, like I love it when people stop and say hello. So
that's awesome. That's too funny. A neighbor, like what a small world,
I know.
Out of the 50,000 people, one happens to be your neighbor.
I know. It's so cool.
That's too funny. And as far as the messaging, you mentioned that. I know there's been a lot. You've been how old is their Instagram now?
It's been about 3 years, I think.
Okay, so that's a lot of messages. What is the funniest one that you've ever, to your knowledge, that you've ever received?
Okay, let's see. Well, I can't think of a message offhand, but there is a comment.
Comment works too.
Yeah, there's, I mean, some of the comments are so funny. So we have one follower, I think it's JBF Coleman, and I've never met this person. I think it's a guy. He always makes the funniest comments about, he's like, it's okay, Pickles. I know your dad looks like Benedict Cumberbatch, but if you want an open relationship, I'm here for you. Or something like that. But that's just one example. Like he always makes really funny comments that crack me up. And
you definitely have some really funny followers, and I'll read the comments. Yeah. And you have some very witty and quick people. It's very cool.
There are some really, really fun people. I mean, yeah, they do. They bring so much to the conversation that I really, really appreciate it. And they know our humor and vernacular, and they just kind of play off of it. And I love it. I think that makes our following really unique.
Yeah. And what's the most odd or kind of just weird one that made you go, huh? Comment or message?
Well, gosh, I'm trying to think. There's been a couple lately that have been a little odd. There was one recently where the person said that they thought I was being rude because I pushed back on somebody about a negative comment. And I just thought that was really odd. Like it's, I mean, it's to what we were chatting about a minute ago. It's like we're just normal people. And so if people say something like off color, a lot of times I let it slide, but there are going to be times where I just don't tolerate it. I just find it almost like cyberbullying, I guess. And I pushed back and, shared that comment in a story, and somebody thought that I was, being like rude or something because I didn't take that kind of abuse.
I think I know which comment that is.
Yeah, like, no, but to me, that's odd. It's like, hey, listen, if you don't like it here, there's other pages. Go follow somebody else.
That's true. I do kind of feel like sometimes people think that we hold on to the followers, like we need them. And it's like we're not making money off of off of this. This is
No, I
just
want
for
people to
fun.
be here because they want to be here and they have fun with it. But if
Yeah.
they're, you know, if they're gonna mistreat us, like we just don't need that kind of negativity in our life.
Yeah. And last one of the type of questions or the messages, which one was good, like most impactful that made you go, oh, wow, like just really kind of impacted you in a positive way?
We've gotten a lot during the pandemic, and there's been at least two in particular where someone has private messaged and said, I've been going through such a rough time. Like I've lost my job, or I'm struggling, you know, with mental health stuff right now. And this page has been like such an uplift for me. And I love coming here and like finding something to smile about, you know, for a short
Yeah.
time. So there's been a few of those actually, particularly I think since March, that have really touched us. And that's exactly what we want. We want people to come and just take a load off, look at the dogs, have a smile, and just like for whatever time, you know, feel a sense of like, you know, laughter or peace or happiness. And that's the magic of dogs, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. But they're very cute. And they just, the bond that they've created, and you know, your followers getting to watch that. For those of you that don't know that are watching, Miss Pickles came in after Tuggy, and she went through a pretty rough time, you know, before having this amazing life, the best life. And she can't hear very well, like we mentioned earlier, and it took Tuggy quite a long time, about 3 months, did you say, to warm
Alright,
up to each other?
about 4.5.
Yeah.
And you know, he really kept trying with her. He's so loving and patient, and he needed a dog in his life, and so he just kept trying to snuggle her and get close to her, and she just wasn't having it. She didn't really want him in her space. She certainly did not want to play. And she just was sort of like a shell, you know. There wasn't she didn't We didn't know who she was because she was just so shut down for so long. And I remember being really worried for quite a while that like maybe she's not ever gonna like maybe they're not ever gonna build a relationship. Maybe she's not the right fit. What if she doesn't ever feel comfortable here? What if, you know, I mean, you know, you like
Yeah.
have all those questions, and I think that's normal. I mean, I work with adopters all the time, and it was interesting to be on the other side of that as like someone who has adopted a dog and is having a really hard time like helping them settle in and feel safe and comfortable. And so it took a long time for that bond to develop. But I think what's remarkable is Tuggy never gave up. He always was trying, but you know, he'd back off if she told him to back off, and he persisted. And I think he just eventually kind of wore her down, and she realized she was safe and loved. And now they're inseparable. They're just always touching and next to each other, and he grooms her and she snuggles him, and they play.
That's my favorite, is watching him just lick her, and she's like,
Oh God. It's so gross, and he just like licks her face nonstop. But to me, the real telltale, I mean, all of the affection and everything came first, but then the play switch flipped, and that was like when she let loose and learned how to play. It was so amazing, and now, I mean, I don't know what it is. Like she has these certain periods of time where she gets wild. After she eats, before she poops, after she poops, and sometimes when she first wakes up in the morning. Those are like her like wild child times, and
Me
she's
too.
like, yeah, right, like all of us. So you know, it's just really funny because her little bursts, they don't last long, but they're so wild. And if I had known, if like a year ago you had told me that this is where we would be now, I wouldn't have believed it. So it's been really, really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of either fostering or adopting, and watching that bloom, you know,
Yeah.
that flower, even if it's super slow, just kind of slowly open up and
Yeah.
become who they are now, you know. And breakfast was pretty similar, and it was worrisome, like you said. And so I think that's normal. And I think that's why people really need to understand that they need, I think they say like 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months,
Yeah.
to really kind of adjust into a new setting. When it goes beyond those 3 months, like it did for Pickles, I would definitely kind of be like, oh, what
Yeah.
rule is it now?
Yeah. Yeah. This is she is uncharted territory all the way around with everything.
Ever, like she's the cutest and most interesting dog I think that I have ever seen.
Totally. Totally.
A little avocado face.
Oh, she does have. Here, I'm gonna pick her up so we can.
Yeah,
Here,
let's
on
figure the
camera.
camera.
Oh, weird.
And I'm still gonna talk to her. I know she can't hear me, but I'm still gonna be like, Pickles! So if you think that they could be granted the ability to talk, to have a conversation with you for 1 day, but you were only allowed to talk about one topic with the both of them, what would they want to talk about?
They would like to petition for more snacks for sure. That'd be like if they could open their mouth, that would be the first thing they'd want to talk about is food. And it would be hard to steer them off of that topic because they're obsessed with food. I don't know. I mean, all joking aside, yes, food would be a big one, but I think that they would like to talk about their life and how good it is and how much fun it is.
Goosebumps.
I know. I mean, I feel it. Like, I don't know. I just feel their joy with their life. Like, they love their life. I love their life. And I love my life with them in it. And so I just feel like if they could talk, they would want to express how much fun that they have like every single day.
Not supposed to get me all emotional, was it?
Sorry.
I'm like, dang, that was supposed to be fun. No, I'm just kidding. That's amazing. That's incredible. And I agree on it. You can see, I've never met you or them, but in person, you can just see they're so happy. And seeing, and I hadn't been following Tuggy when you first got him, obviously, but seeing Pickles, when she first came in, and I just thought she was adorable, and I connected with her, in the same way, with both of our dogs having gone through that. And I think that's how we even connected, I believe. Yeah. And just watching her go from that to where she is now, and watching her play that one time we had the foster dog that came in, she did like a little army crawl towards it. It's been incredible. And it's definitely, I agree. I think that they would just at least want to say thank you and just talk about how much fun they're having, and then say it would be better if they could have more.
Yeah, better with more snacks, of course.
And so if they could talk, again, the same thing, but you had to choose the one topic that you guys would talk about.
I would probably want to talk to them about the same thing. I would want to know, I would want them to know how much they enrich my life. And like, cool. I can't wait to wake up every morning to get to hang out with them. I can't wait to get home from wherever I am so I can hang out with them. Like, they are my life. I would happily cancel plans with anybody. I don't care who it is.
We do.
To hang out with them. Like, they just make me so happy. And so I think, all around, I think I would like them to, I think they would like to talk about how good their life is. And I would like to talk about how good my life is with them in it. And it's hard not to want to know, like, what was their past like, or what was their life like. But at the same time, particularly with Miss Pickles, I know her life wasn't good. And I don't think that they would want to dwell on that. And certainly I don't want to dwell on it. Like, they're just all about the good stuff now. But it is hard not to be curious, right? Like, I think that's natural to kind of think about, like, well, what was their life like,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think it's one of those like best unknown, best untouched, kind of thing. And dogs are so great at the example of just living in the now, and being focused on that. So a lot of the times when people when people ask about Mr. Breakfast's past, or even Little Buddha's past, I choose not to answer it. I just say, hey, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is they're here. And I just feel like if we dwell so much on a dog's past, they kind of will too. Like, they'll sense that, and they'll sense the sadness and the anxiety and things like that. So I think it's great, that that would be the thing that you would want to talk about. So I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool that she wouldn't ask them what happened. It would just automatically be how great it is now.
Yeah.
And speaking of, back to little Miss Pickles, little Tugster, we love you too, buddy. you've had your share of story, or your story share.
Yeah.
He's taking a nap anyway.
Miss Pickles
wasn't ready for it. Yeah. And so with her being a deaf dog, and you guys it's been a year that you guys.
Yeah, it'll actually be a year on Black Friday. It was November, whatever is the day after Thanksgiving. I guess it was like the 28th last year or something. So yeah, it's coming up on her year anniversary with us.
Do you got any plans?
Oh, we are partying. We are gonna party.
Sounds like an amazing party.
I know. It'll be a party of like just our household, but it will be a party.
Amazing party.
Maybe we could do like a, Instagram live party or something for people that want to like come on and I don't know, or just Zoom or something. Yeah.
I'll show up. Breakfast will show. I'll let breakfast show up. Okay. Oh, she's so cute. And so, was her Tika surgery that was due to the ear infections and the ear cropping, right?
Yeah. There was a significant trauma to both of her ears, and actually, her shelter photos, she still had ears. I mean, I put that in quotes. They were just little scarred cauliflowers, and it was determined like the infections had been so chronic and the scar tissue was so thick that she couldn't really hear anyway. And there was really no way to clear that out. So when she went into rescue, she went through SoCal Bulldog Rescue, actually out in California. It was, yeah, SoCal. It was determined that really the best course of action for her to have a good quality of life was to do the bilateral Tika, which, as you mentioned, is total ear canal ablation. And a lot of people aren't totally familiar with that surgery. And I know like Breakfast he still has like little external ears, right?
Yeah, they did a weird thing. They like kind of made them.
Same with her.
Okay.
Hers are much smaller, but she has like sort of these like what I call faux ear nubs. They're just like little pieces of skin that were sort of like pulled up on
see, he still has his are still like the part where the ear canal would start, and then they just kind of took that and
folded it.
Yeah, and that's why they look like a little bald, hairy tortilla chips.
Yes.
And I remember the reason that we connected actually is because of the sign language, and she didn't know any sign language right when you guys got her.
No, and she still doesn't. We have a couple of signs. She's not a very high drive dog. She's, as you can tell, she's not particularly treat motivated. Like she loves her meal time, but she's not particularly food motivated, like for treat training and things like that. She doesn't really engage with toys very much. She's very low key. So I was having a hard time kind of figuring out how do I motivate her to learn some things or try some things. And we played around a little bit with like vibration training, different things. We really kind of had a hard time. And at the end of the day, I really just decided she follows along and knows what's going on. So even though we didn't have a lot of luck teaching her a vast, number of signs, she tracks pretty well with the routine here. So she has a couple, like she knows like eat and come, and
of course she does.
yeah. And play, like we do play, so like we'll point at something. But essentially she really does just beat to her own drum. But a lot of people, when they first meet her, it's not even, she has like no real ears at all, no ear canals, no ears, no real tissue other than the tiny little nubs that are sort of faux created. But a lot of people don't even really notice at first that there's, which is, I love that. Like I was really thinking at first that people would, I don't know, that would be all
like
people see.
Like you said before, like people can be mean,
Yeah, I mean, really, I thought it would be so much more of a thing than it has turned out to be. And I was really nervous about adopting a deaf dog initially because I'm like, well, I don't really know anything about deaf dogs. I don't know how to train a deaf dog. I don't know, like, what would she need. And we're really outdoorsy, we're climbers, we're mountain bikers, so we're always out camping and we're on trails. And I'm like, what if she gets lost? Oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? And in the end, like, all of the things I worried about are like no big deal. I mean, like, no big deal. She has adapted so well. And we do things, of course, for her safety. You know, like, she wears a bell if we're camping, like a bear bell. She has a light up collar so I can see her. We use like a long leash line if I'm worried that, but I mean, ultimately she's right with us anyways, and she doesn't move very fast. So it's not like she, you know, if you had a more active dog, maybe it would be in some ways easier and in some ways harder. But all of the things that I was like mulling over in my head before we adopted her, they're just a non-issue. And that's what I think is so amazing about dogs with special needs. Like, they don't know they're any different. They don't care. And they just live their life. And, you know, to your point about like living in the moment, I mean, that is probably the greatest lesson she has taught me. And I've had special needs dogs before, and I don't know why I'm still needing to be clobbered over the head with this lesson. But
I mean, but I would say that they're rightful worries because I did the exact same thing. You know, I've taken him hiking and I've been with people and I've been with one of my dog trainer friends, and he was like, oh, just let him off leash. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Da, 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 da. He can, you know, kind of feel sound, but we're outside. I was like freaking out. And he goes, well, he can't go very far. You know, I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, Liz, look at him. You know? I was like, and you know, he did. He kind of it took off, and then he literally stopped. It was like, it's like, you know, but I think they're rightful things to worry about, you know, because I think we, unfortunately, working in rescue, we kind of see and hear about things that happen, you know, and prevented, like things that can be prevented, and it's like I don't ever want to, you know, be in that situation or cause that, you know. So I think it's totally understandable. But to your point of when you said that she doesn't know that she's deaf, you know, you wouldn't even know. A lot of people when they meet Mr. Breakfast, they have no idea that he's deaf. Like, he doesn't act, you know, any different and scared. But some deaf dogs do. You know, they can, when she's sleeping or when you go up behind her, do you have to
you know, that was
gently?
definitely something else I was concerned about. And for her, it's really not an issue. I would understand, certainly for other deaf dogs, that could be more of an issue. For her, she doesn't startle easily at all. And I also think they can feel a lot of vibration. And I think, much like I think when humans maybe have a sense that is, you know, if a person is hearing impaired or sight impaired or anything like that, I think your other senses do become sharper. And I think she can probably sense vibration on the floor, scent, you know, different things that have helped her compensate, I think. So I haven't
Yeah, I
worried too
agree.
much about the startling with her, which has been nice, because I was really worried about that. At first I was doing like the fee, fi, fo, fum, like stomping on the ground. And she was probably like, what is wrong with you, lady?
What are you doing, lady?
Why is she walking around like stomping on the floor?
She's like, this lady is weird.
Seriously, I'm sure of it.
And I'm the same. I'm lucky with Mr. Breakfast, you know, and I think that's one thing that I really would like people to understand is that just because one dog is one way doesn't mean another one's going to be another way. You know, just because your friend's deaf dog was very jumpy or, you know, needed like special things, that dog did, but not every dog does. And so I think it's really awesome that, you know, your page is showing so many people that not only, because I know Tuggy, hi little Tug, we're gonna talk about you now. He was one of those dogs that people pass up in the shelter. Nobody wanted him. He was, you know, crazy looking or crazy acting. His behavior super hyper and wild, and you know,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at him. Like, yeah, he's crazy. And so I think it's really great that there's more and more pages showing up that just kind of exemplify
Yeah.
that example. And as far as like a lot of people ask me what challenges I face and how I, you know, how I handle them. So did you guys have besides Miss Pickles not really opening up right away. Did you guys have any challenges, any other challenges that were specifically due to her being deaf?
Not particularly due to her being deaf, although she's had, I think, some medical, like suffers from dry eye, and I don't know if Mr. Breakfast has had any issues with that. Um, and I don't know if that was a complication of some of the nerve damage, because that can happen when they have a TICA surgery. They can have kind of the nerves get damaged and can lead to dry eye. So when we first got her, we noticed, her eyes were watering and watering and watering and watering. And so she is on prescription eye drops for life. So that was kind of an unexpected complication. Again, I can't say if it's for sure because of her TICA or deafness, but it certainly is a possibility that it contributed to that. But no other real things that came out of her being hearing impaired. I think some of the other things that have popped up with her, she's had a lot of medical problems, and I'm so thankful that I got pet insurance, because
go get pet insurance right now if you don't have it. Right now.
Gosh, she has had, a lot of issues with her skin and her dry eye, and she's developed a lot of like skin growths that are honestly have stupefied her amazing veterinary board certified dermatologist. She has like had to bring Pickles' case in front of, journal club and be like, what is this, So
she's going to be famous in another way.
Yeah, she's famous in another way. She's in the dermatology journal club. So, there's been things like that medically that have popped up for her that were, somewhat unexpected. She had other things where all of her claws were cracking and falling off. And so we thought for a while that she might have an autoimmune issue. And as it turned out, she had just been so malnourished previously. And basically it took 8 months for all of that growth to come out. And so now her nails are really nice, but there was a period of time where it was like once a week, her claw would fall, literally the whole claw would just like crack and fall off. And so we thought that there was something more sinister happening there, but it wasn't. It was just, kind of a holdover from previous stuff. So, certainly other challenges, but not related to the deafness.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so far. I mean, honestly, there's 3 other of my friends that have adopted deaf dogs due to TICAs, and kind of a similar situation. They're like, yeah, they don't really jump, they're not like jumpy or startled easily. They're not scared. So I feel like it's kind of, unfortunately, having a TICA. And she had that other part of the surgery too, like the OB.
Yes, bulla osteotomy, and so did
Thank
Pickles.
you.
Yes, same thing.
Oh, sorry, Pickles. Sorry, not Tuggy. Yeah. So I think Breakfast didn't have that. He only had just the TICA. I don't believe that they had to do the bulla osteotomy.
I know.
And yeah. And so I think I was going to ask next, like, does she feel sound? So like if I'm in a room with Breakfast and I clap really loud or I make that certain like kind of noise, he can feel it.
Yeah.
But if we're outside, no, nothing.
Yeah, no, I think, you're spot on. She definitely can feel certain things. There was a couple of weeks ago where Adam had like a, what do you call it? Like a ratchet. Like we were putting something together. He had like one of those like, ratchety screwdriver things. And he was like spinning it around or something. And she was sound asleep. And all of a sudden she went like, whoop! Like, I don't know how she heard it or felt it. I mean, there's literally no ear canals, and she is sewn completely shut. It was like the weirdest thing. So we tested it. We're like, well, maybe that was just a coincidence. Maybe it was just something else at that same time.
She had a bad dream or a good dream.
Yeah. We tested it numerous times, and there was something about that frequency that she could feel, I guess.
Yeah.
Same thing with vibration or keys. And once in a while, if there's something like a siren on TV or something, well, sometimes she'll perk up. So I don't understand the nuances of her deafness, but it's certainly interesting when they do kind of react to something. You're like, how how do they feel that or hear that or sense that? It's really interesting.
The first time I ever heard Mr. Breakfast bark, I had dropped I don't know, like a ring or something on a jewelry plate and like the clinking, clink, 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 kind of
Yeah.
noise. And he just jumped up and started, boom, it was big giant bark. It's like, I thought he was deaf. But then if I'm talking to him, yelling at him, if sometimes if you're like in a room with a lot of furniture or rug or carpeting, if you clap and there's no kind of thing that bounce the sound around, you
Yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
hear when sound bounce around. That's when he can feel it. And but if it's outdoors or heavily carpeted or anything, he's out.
That's
So
a
it's
really,
definitely confusing for a while.
yeah, that's a really good observation. And now that you mentioned like the difference between the indoor and outdoor, I would say that our experience has been identical.
Interesting. That's
And I
really
hadn't really
cool.
thought about like the indoor versus outdoor, but that makes total sense that there's just not an acoustical, like, you know, box for it to
Yeah, the
be.
bouncing.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting.
So for the few signs, like I know you had mentioned before that she knows eat and like one other play or something.
Like we do like eat, come. Well, come, I either tap my leg or I'll do this if she's looking right at me. I do a place, like a point place
Oh,
command. Um,
I thought you
yeah,
said it's place. I thought you said play, and I was like, oh, that's
yeah,
cool. Like play with
play.
that
Yeah,
toy. Like,
yeah.
but has Tuggy picked up on any of those? Like if you look at her and say eat, is he kind of, and you don't say the word, you're just like, oh, is he like, oh.
Yes. Although I would say, so the eat one is new for him, but I did train him with hand signals when I did obedience training with him. So he kind of already had a bunch of hand signals already. But the eat one is new for him. And he fully understands that now.
Yeah, Buddha's kind of done the same. Like he's picked up on little things, and even if I do sit, Buddha will sit, and he's like across the room. I'm like, oh, good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah,
But you
she
said,
does know sit too. I forgot about this. She does know sit, but she can't hold it. Like she'll sit and then she pops it right back up. So that one's a little harder for her.
he doesn't need to sit.
We just tell her, you do you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
That's kind of what we do with breakfast. It's just like, you do you, man. Don't eat anything that'll kill you, which he does far too often. But just try not to do that in your pride.
Yeah.
Would you say that Tuggy is kind of, because you said that she just kind of follows you guys really well, or just kind of picked up on things, so she didn't really need a lot of silence. Would you say that Tuggy has almost kind of helped her, like, hey, that's just how we do things?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
That's Tuggy's voice, by the way, apparently. Like, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think helper dogs are a great thing for a dog with special needs. As long as the dog, as long as if you have a dog with special needs and they like other dogs, like a helper dog can be a wonderful, thing to have. I use it much in the same way, like with fostering, I do a lot of shy dogs, and having a confident dog as a helper to a shy dog. It's really the same kind of thing with having a dog, a deaf dog, having just another dog that they can pick up on the cue is, I think, really helpful and useful. And I think, would they get there on their own without a helper dog? Probably. But I think it accelerates that, like, oh, this is what we're doing now. We're going in that room. That's where the food is, and they pick it up so much faster.
Oh, that's so cool. And I know he helps you. You mentioned like a helper dog with fosters.
Yeah.
You consider him a therapy dog for the fosters that you take in for the rescue, right?
Yeah.
And he does court therapy for children.
Yes, exactly. So he's been a registered therapy dog for at least 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. And for a while, we were in a mental health treatment facility working with teenagers. And now he is a court therapy dog here in Salt Lake City. Although with the pandemic, unfortunately, we haven't been able to do any visits, which is really sad. But he is so nurturing and sweet and fun. And he brings that same quality whenever we bring a foster dog. I mean, Tuggy's just like, he's kind of like, he just wants to be part of whatever's going on. And if it just so happens that whatever's going on is something he can help with, he is all about it. So, he's just always kind of in the mix. And he He loves dogs. So when we foster, he's the first one to just kind of roll out the red carpet and want to play and you know, show them everything there is to know about life in the enclosure. He's just, you know, he just he's just such a jovial doofus. I don't
That's what the world needs. Yeah.
yeah.
And how long have you been fostering? Have you only fostered? Sorry, I'm like asking multiple questions. How long have you been fostering, just in general, with any rescue at all whatsoever?
I've been fostering for over 11 years, 12 years, with multiple rescues. Actually, I work with several groups here in Salt Lake City: Cause Community Animal Welfare Society, Utah Animal Advocacy Foundation, Salt Lake County Animal Services, Rough Patch. I mean, basically, I will foster for any number of groups. Most of them know me. I've been around for a long time in the animal welfare community here, so I'll help really whoever needs helping. I have a particular soft spot for senior pets, special needs, you know, pit bull type dogs, bulldogs, like, but you know, this past year, like, I did a bunch of shy dogs, and that was kind of a new thing for me. I hadn't really done much with shy dogs, and I was a little scared about what that would be like. And it's actually been really rewarding to see those dogs come out of their shell. So I had a really shy Pekingese foster, and I had a couple of really shy Chihuahuas. A lot of the groups here in Utah are taking in transfer animals from other parts of the country, particularly like Texas and New Mexico, where the shelters are very, very crowded and healthy and treatable animals are at risk of being euthanized. And so we happen to have capacity here in Utah. We have a wonderful coalition called the No Kill Utah Coalition. And it's part of Best Friends Animal Society and our efforts to make the state no kill. And so a lot of our shelter partners and coalition partners here really extend a hand in bringing in dogs in need elsewhere, since we have the space to do that. And it's been really cool because, you know, I've had like these little shy Chihuahuas and you know, other shy dogs coming up and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this dog? And how's this going to work? And basically I integrate them with my dogs, and it just accelerates that process of helping them blossom and come out of their shell. And it's just it's so cool to watch. Like, the dogs do things that I can't do as a person. You know, they teach them how to dog, and it's amazing. So I love it.
Been fostering?
About 12, I think about 12 years. And I really have lost count. It's well over 200. It's probably over 225 at this point.
So cool.
It's really amazing. And I really have done a terrible job of like actually keeping an accurate count of that. But I will say I have tons and tons and tons of photo albums and pictures, and I have kept in touch with a very large number of those foster animals and foster families. And of course, after 12 years, a lot of them have passed on. But it's just been one of the greatest joys of my life. And it's always been great for the dogs, for our resident dogs to help with. I don't think, like, I could not adopt a dog that wasn't able to co-house with other dogs, because I just really rely on them to be a part of that, and I want to continue fostering. So that's always been really important. And when we were adopting Pickles, you know, I was asking her foster mom, you know, that was really important to me. Like, what are her dog skills? Like, has she been around dogs and things like that? Because I knew that for us, we'd want to continue fostering. And she's taken up the torch. I mean, she, like you said, you saw the videos of her, like she's so gentle, and
it was so cute. It was almost like as if she was like because Tuggy was, you know, wanting to play, and she goes, no, Tug, he's scared, like walk up, like, it was like totally just warm.
Yeah, they have completely different play styles, because he is really rough and rowdy and like wants to zoom and like body slam, and she's just like, let's just make ourselves small and like, you know,
boy and girl, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been, fostering for me has been something that I will probably do it as long as I possibly can. Tuggy's getting ready to have his other knee surgery, so unfortunately we won't be able to foster probably until spring, which I'm very sad about. But as soon as we're able to, we'll be back at it.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I mean, it's just, it's something that I've done and I want to do again when, the lifestyle kind of allows for it. And so I guess my question would be just kind of someone thinking of, doing it again and like, am I ready and things. What are the 3 things that you feel somebody should know before becoming a foster dog home?
A couple of things. Number one is to ask around in your community and find out who needs fosters and what kinds of support would be in place for you as a foster home. Not every rescue or shelter has the same resources. I can, only speak for the ones that I foster for here, and they all provide, the things that I need to be a successful foster parent, like a crate and food or veterinary care. But every group is a little bit different. So find out, what are the groups that need help and how will they support you as a foster home to make sure that you have what you need, because you don't want to be stuck out on an island. You need help marketing your foster animal and getting them what they need. And, you really shouldn't have to pay for anything. So, it's always good to do your homework and find out who the reputable groups are and what kinds of support is out there for you. Number 2 is to understand that, you are the bridge between maybe the shelter or former situation and the future situation. We don't always know the circumstances that these animals are coming out of. So even though a dog might be 5 years old, we have to kind of treat them like they're a puppy coming in, that they don't know that they're not potty trained, maybe. Or, sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. So we're not going to know. Sometimes we just don't know that information. So we have to be really patient and understanding. And that's where having a good foster group to help you is really important, because they should be able to help talk you through those kinds of things, like, a training hiccup or, something else. There will be little hiccups, but the third most, thing that I always want people to know is that you will be forever changed. And you will have your heart broken, but it will be in the best way possible, because you will be a link in that life-saving chain for that animal. Foster parents are the life-saving, they are the lifesavers for those animals. Like, in communities like mine, we can't pull animals from shelters in need unless we have foster homes. So, but just know, it is hard to give them up. You will cry, but you will also be so rewarded and so happy for the role that you played in giving that animal the best possible life after. So I think those are my top 3. That was a very long-winded top 3 list.
That's okay. Hey, there's 3 things, look up your support, see what type of support you could get and do your homework, do your research with that. And you were long with the second one. So
no, I was very long, but like being, knowing that we don't know everything about them, we have to be patient.
That's right. Yeah. So have your support, do your research, make sure your support is there. Remember that you are the bridge between, a potentially bad situation, a new situation, and an adopted home. And, be patient with that and make sure you have back to 1 support for that. And 3 is that you're going to have your heart broken in the best way possible. And I think that is the most difficult yet rewarding part. It's such a confusing emotion. And for someone who has done it for over 200 dogs, I think you could probably agree with me and say yes when you say it never goes away, it never changes, it never gets easier, it never, I did have one foster dog where I was like,
yes, there will be those ones. Let me help you pack your bag, Fluffy.
See you later, bye.
Why is Liz peeling out of the driveway so quickly?
Goodbye. like when they leave the house and like you shut the door behind them and all of a sudden there's like, like partying and like corks popping.
Yeah. There will be those ones. I have had a couple of those. But what's amazing though, even in those ones where you're like, oh, thank God they're adopted, they found their perfect person, like the person that wanted that kind of like crazy party animal or, you know, whatever it may be.
And it's like, you know, like you love the dog and you want the best for the dog, but
it ain't me sometimes.
yeah, like it's a foster, it's a foster, it's a foster, it's a foster.
Yeah. And you know, conversely, there's those ones that you just bawl. Like Walter Bear for me was like, oh my God, I would have kept him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like that one hurt. Oh, that hurt. But you know, in the end, he decided he really just wanted to be an only dog. And that's the other, you know, that's maybe an addendum. Number 4, your dogs come first, right? If your dogs aren't enjoying it or are stressed or are getting picked on by the foster dog, like you always do have to take that into consideration. Like you are your own pet's advocate first and foremost. And then that was kind of the case with Walter. You know, we were so in love with him and so wanted to keep him. And you know, in the end, he just really decided he wanted to be an only dog. And he was picking fights with Tuggy, and Tuggy got hurt a couple times despite my best efforts at keeping the peace. And you know, that was like, okay, we can't, you know, we need to place him. It's the right thing to do. And he gets to be the king of his castle. He lives a mile from here in a beautiful mid-century, modern, stunning home with 2 kids that adore him. And he doesn't have to have another dog in his life. And he's just charmed. And that's ultimately what I want for all my fosters, is to have that kind of life. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I fostered a little dog who would nip at breakfast, and you know, he wasn't even a big dog, but he's just a little dog, and he would nip and nip and nip and nip. And breakfast is so tolerant. And when the day that he growled at him because he's like, I'm fed up, you know, it's like, okay, get this dog out of my house. Like, you're not going to make my, you know, bully like attack a little dog and be blamed for it and have that guilt on my conscience and stuff. So yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Definitely make sure that you always put your dogs first, and remember that they're your dogs. And you know, fostering isn't for everybody and not every situation. And I think that if you are in a situation where your dog is not good with fostering, maybe they're, you know, you can foster later.
Yeah. There's so many other ways people can help out if they want to help animals, right? Like,
exactly.
That's a great
and
one.
Speaking of which, you know, do you think it's important for people to know like what dogs are rescues, and you know, be able to see that and see that there's purebred things and, you know, good happy dogs and things like that without having to be told, hey, this is a rescue dog?
I love that. I love it so much. And that's one of the reasons why I love working with you and Best Life, because I do think it's so cool to be able to show off the pride that we have in our rescue animals. And much in the way that like I can use my Instagram as a platform for that. This is something that's so simple, you know, 2 white stripes. It's just like they're reflective, people can see it, the color, and I love the new colors. They're so awesome.
Wait till you see the new ones.
And it just pops, you know, and I think I might not have 10 minutes to stop and chat with somebody on the street, but if this is like, can become a universal symbol for people to see, then it's, oh wow, like, look at those cool dogs. Like, who knew I could rescue a dog like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I love just a graphic, simple, visual, colorful symbol. To me is just such a fun and cool way to make a statement.
Yay, thank you. Yeah. Melissa, what do you think having the 2 white stripes as a symbol for rescue dogs will do for the world, the community of dog rescue?
I think, well, number one, just want to thank Best Life for supporting rescue dogs first and foremost, and you know, getting back to rescue in the way that you do, providing leashes and collars for dogs that need it. That to me was the number one reason I wanted to work with you. But also, just a symbol is so simple. It's just something so simple that people can see and identify with and show that like these dogs are awesome. You know, for so long, I think that there has been so many myths surrounding rescue dogs and shelter dogs that they're somehow different or damaged, or they're not amazing dogs, or you can't find purebred dogs, or you can't, you know, this. And to me, like something so simple that a dog can strut around with, like these beautiful, amazing, hilarious, funny dogs, can just, it's just like an instant thing that people can identify with and be surprised, you know, have that like surprise, like, wow, like, you know, I mean, I'm sure, you know, when you guys walk little Buddha, you know, like, wow, I can rescue a French bulldog. Like, who knew?
All the time, all the
You
time.
know,
Yeah, they're always like, oh, we want a French bulldog. I'm like, stop right there.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's such a simple and visual way to show there's so many amazing individual dogs that make up this collective group of rescue and shelter pets. And it's so cool to just be able to show that. And it means a lot to those of us that hold this cause so close to our heart.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. It also shows the amazing people, you know, that do it too. I think that dog rescue has been kind of given almost this, not completely, but somewhat of a misconception by some people. For some reason, they see dog rescue almost as like, oh, that's what you do and you can't afford a dog. You know, you can't afford to get a dog kind of thing. And so it's almost been kind of seen by a large, you know, group of a large amount of the population that it's like a low income or like a you know, not trendy, not, you know, like not that thing to do. You know, it's not like what people do, it's what you have to do. And I think that just showing the amazing people that are rescuing these dogs and are so passionate about it, that are, you know, funny and cool and creative and have an incredibly beautifully decorated home and, you know, go rock climbing and, you know, just the type of all the different types of people that do dog rescue and that are passionate about it. You know, I think will open up a lot of eyes to see that, like, no, actually, like, why wouldn't you want a dog rescue? Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rescue dogs and rescue are as individual as the you know, the people that choose to rescue. It's a, you
exactly.
know, those of us that support rescue and choose to adopt, like we come from every single socioeconomic level, every single
Exactly.
type of person, every walk of life, from every corner of the world, like people that love animals and believe in rescue. We're as every much as individuals as the dogs that we choose to rescue. So I
Yep.
think
The
it's,
range goes from here and here and here and here and there and there
yeah,
everywhere.
it's just all like, and it's the cool thing, and to me, it's the
Yes.
right thing to do. And yeah, I mean, I would love to someday that we work ourselves out of jobs, right? That we don't
Yeah, right?
ever need to do, you know, like raise this kind of awareness, because that would be amazing. That would mean we've just solved this problem, and you know, whatever. But until that day, there are so many animals that need our help, and I'm, you know, always proud to talk about it and show it off and have a symbol to do it and work with cool people that believe in it as well and support that cause. It means
That's
everything
awesome.
to me.
That's awesome. I'm going to stop recording here.